Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. I'm Mark Stein in for Tucker this Thanksgiving Eve, but he will be making a special appearance later in the show. But first, that migrant caravan looming on the U.S.-Mexico border. 3,000 people are encamped in Tijuana, and the federal government says they could grow to a mass of 10,000 or more. A representative of the group Angels Without Borders say the migrants are considering something truly unbelievable, a human stampede across the southern border of the United States. Meanwhile, a new Gallup poll shows that the percentage of Americans who view immigration as the country's top issue is surging rapidly. 21% of Americans say immigration is the top issue, compared to 13% just a month ago. Chris Kobach is Secretary of State for Kansas. He joins us now. Chris, what exactly is the difference between what they're planning, which is this human stampede, and what we used to call in the old days an invasion?
There's not a whole heck of a lot of difference. It is a massive influx of people. And Mark, one of the things that I think we need to consider right now is something that Congress wisely put in federal law back in 1996. It's not too often you use the word wisely when talking about Congress, but they actually planned ahead. And they said in federal statute, if ever there is a mass influx of aliens at our border, the President has the authority, the Secretary of Homeland Security has the authority to call up state and local police to help repel this invasion or this influx. And right now that's necessary because ICE agents and Border Patrol agents whom I've spoken to say they are overwhelmed. They don't have the manpower right now, and they need it, and they need it quick.
And you make the point that that doesn't just mean that they can deputize local police departments in Southern California whose political bosses may not be keen on them enforcing federal immigration law, but that in theory the President actually has the authority to deputize sheriff's deputies from Maine and New Hampshire to act on the southern border.
That's exactly right. And this ties in with your point you made in the introduction, Mark. It is an issue of very high concern, the top issue for so many Americans. I guarantee that if President Trump made a national appeal to sheriff's departments across the country to say, can you come help us? We need the manpower. We'll reimburse your deputies for their time. Can you help us to repel this mass influx of people who are planning to rush our border? I guarantee that there would be hundreds of deputies, hundreds of sheriff's departments saying, yes, we will help. So I think the time is now to use this power that has been given to the executive branch.
Now, this is Thanksgiving, Chris, and we live in a very weird time because we're told the country's on orange alert. So it takes you hours if you're just flying home to see your grandmother to get through the airport. Transport Security Administration has rules on the density of your pumpkin pie because if it's too moist, it counts as a liquid, so it has to be part of your checked baggage. That's what lawful Americans who are residing in this country entirely legally have to put up with. But at the same time as they're on orange alert, people can apparently just walk across the border with impunity. At some point, the public will get sick of the obvious contradiction in that, won't they?
You know, Mark, I think they're already sick of the contradiction, and you put it very well. And this group of migrants at the southern border in the Tijuana area right now, they are, by all accounts, just a general mix of illegal aliens. They're not a mass of people who are fleeing oppression and they are particular candidates for asylum. They're going to rapidly find out that that waiting for the asylum adjudication is going to be a wait in vain. The vast majority, maybe 90%, will be denied. And at some point, word will get out among these migrants, hey, you know what, we're not going to get asylum. Maybe we'll just do what we were planning on anyway, and that is either sneaking across the border or rushing the border. And that's where we need more manpower, because they are undermanned right now on our side of the border.
The other point you make, which is a great, everyone uses these cliches, we need comprehensive immigration reform. There are actually more immigration laws than any functioning society would need. There's actually more immigration law than immigration officers at border posts can understand. They know very little of it themselves because it's there's too much of it. It's the fact that there's not the political will to enforce the immigration laws that's the issue.
Yes, that's it. We often hear this cop-out, oh, our immigration laws are broken. No, they're not broken. If you actually read them, Congress, over the many decades that we've had these laws, has inserted a lot of really good provisions in there that if we have the will to actually use them, we could reinforce our rule of law in this country.
That's a good point, Chris. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Chris Kobach. Thank you very much.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. President Trump is in a spat with the Chief Justice at the Supreme Court today. Yesterday, the president blasted the perceived political motivations of a federal judge who blocked new rules on asylum seekers from being implemented.
This was an Obama judge, and I'll tell you what, it's not going to happen like this anymore.
Well, the president's remarks provoked a surprise rebuke from Chief Justice John Roberts, who said in a statement, quote, "We do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, Bush judges or Clinton judges. What we have is an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal right to those appearing before them. That independent judiciary is something we should all be thankful for." The president hit back on Twitter this afternoon saying, quote, "Sorry, Chief Justice John Roberts, but you do indeed have Obama judges, and they have a much different point of view than the people who are charged with the safety of our country. It would be great if the Ninth Circuit was indeed an independent judiciary, but if it is, why are so many opposing views on border and safety cases filed there? And why are a vast number of those cases overturned? Please study the numbers. They're shocking. We need protection and security. These rulings are making our country unsafe, very dangerous and unwise." Jonathan Turley is a professor at George Washington University Law School. He joins us. Professor, to take the Chief Justice's point at face value, if you did want to make a point that judges are above politics, why would the nation's chief judge essentially intervene in a provocative political manner in the way that John Roberts has?
Well, Mark, in fairness to the Chief Justice, this is a very uncommon thing for him to do. It's virtually unheard of in modern times. He has basically held his tongue for 2 years, but he is the senior, member of the judiciary, and I felt that great sympathy towards him when he reacted today the way he did. I mean, he feels that his mandate is to stand up for the judiciary. I don't think that the president was fair about this criticism. The decision that he was referencing would have come out the same way, in my view, for both Republican and Democratic nominees. John Roberts himself voted to preserve the individual mandate of Obamacare. I disagreed with his decision there. I thought that the reasoning was wrong. But I also understood that he was following what he thought was the dictates of the law, not the person who nominated him. Now, where I probably would criticize the Chief Justice a little bit is that I wish that he was more active in policing the court itself. Justice Ginsburg, the late Justice Scalia, both were criticized for political or unwise statements made in commentary, and the Chief Justice has not been that proactive.
But isn't the president making slightly more of a basic point here, which is that you have Democrats and Republicans, and they slog it out at election time, and one or other party wins. And we're increasingly at a time now where instead, whoever wins, we have government by judges, in which judges essentially are micro-legislating aspects of particular policies in a way that would have been unrecognizable to judges and politicians of the late 18th century.
Well, Mark, I've criticized the Ninth Circuit for some of the decisions that they have handed down against the administration. But I've never questioned the motivations of those judges. Now, in fairness to President Trump, there is a difference in philosophy between a Trump appointee and probably an Obama appointee. They will, at some points, disagree on a philosophical basis how to view the Constitution. In the vast majority of cases, there isn't that much disagreement. Most cases are unanimous, even despite who people were appointed. I think that what Chief Justice Roberts was trying to say is that it's unfair fair to this judiciary, and we are blessed with a wonderful judiciary because people really do try to get things right. These are decent people trying to come to the right decision. People like me disagree with them on the sidelines, but I don't think that it's because of ideology. It is because of their philosophical view of how to interpret the Constitution.
Well, we'll take that up about the blessings of the judiciary at another time. Thank you, Professor, and a happy
Thank you, Mark.
Thanksgiving to you.
You too.